Hey guys, so I'm writing right now, but I just remember that I had this note on my phone that I screenshotted like 8 months ago that I forgot to do anything with. Um, this is just like an alternate bad ending idea that I had. I thought to myself one day at work, like, what would happen if Kim just made the wrong choices, and like, where would that actually lead her story? At least very surface level. So and this isn't like a fully fleshed out idea. It's just like I have this note on my phone and I want to delete it because I'm trying to like compile my notes and compress and get rid of a bunch of bloat that are in my notepad and try to organize. Um, and this is just an alternate bad ending where Kim never interacted with Tansu. Okay, so basically that would be like the catalyst to that. That's like her fork in the road, whether or not she helped Tansu that day at school or walked right by her. So essentially, and again, this is just like a very brief, you can't really see. Very brief, that's about how long it is, not that much information there, but like, oh, I whistled. Yeah, Kim doesn't interact with Tansu and thus never becomes friends with her. The abuse at home would continue as it normally would, but she wouldn't have that positive thing, that one little thing keeping her brain from succumbing to all those negative emotions as much. Um, but she does eventually try to confide in Joey again when things get worse. Instead of talking to Tansu that night when she went over, before everything went bad, she is talking to Joey like after school or something like that, or she calls him or something like that, and she interacts and she tries to tell Joey what's going on, even though Joey pretty much he has an unconfirmed suspicion that there's abuse going on based on what he witnessed as they were growing up and stuff that we saw in like Devil to the Damned with Chrism or Mad Crow and Chrism observing stuff going on at home. Like he's aware, but he doesn't have like he hasn't witnessed abuse, but he knows kind of thing. But she eventually does confide in him instead of Tansu, and Joey threatens to confront her dad, but she stops him from doing that. However, he does show up after school one day of his own volition, where he's like, I'm fucking not letting this continue. I'm stepping in. I'm doing something. Something needs to be said. I'm going to threaten him to call the police, or like Joey's just like hot headed, going to lose his mind because he's finally been confirmed that these things are happening. But that day, her dad is drunk at the time, and they actually get into a fight when he confronts him, and her dad ends up hurting Joey and ends up like throwing him into the wall or punching him or something that he absolutely should not be doing to like a 17-year-old kid. Um, and then when that happens, Kim stands up for Joey and she gets hurt as well. He just kind of like lashes out on both of them because at this point that would convince Alex, her dad, even more that they have some weird secret thing going on behind his back that he's so afraid of and whatever have you. Because now Joey's here confronting, and it's a whole thing. And in that stupor, Sin kind of like appears, either doing what he did with like Lucas in Impurity, where he kind of like not stops time, but like essentially stops time at one point to just kind of like insert his influence and then whatever, and offers Kim that deal from the shadow, and she accepts it, and she ends up killing her dad. And but since Joey is there at the same time, Alice ends up killing Joey as well. So she ends up, yeah, slaughtering them both, and with two essences going into her at once at such a hard time, and without the influence of Tansu's positivity, and with Joey gone, she has like nothing to keep her humanity in check anymore. And she also absorbed twice the powerful essence because Alex obviously is a huge negative influence, and Joey is a huge negative and positive influence on her. So that's a lot of soul essence that she's absorbing at once, most of which being negative, and a lot of even in double the regret. So at that point, she's broken and she's exhausted, and she just kind of like passes out, and she wakes up the next day thinking that she had a nightmare, that it was all just a terrible fucking dream or something. But she discovers, in the house, that the bodies are there. They're both dead. She obviously has her moments. Alice is tantalizing her brain and telling her all these things, and Kim starts to like just mentally crack. She doesn't call the police, and she flees her home. Wandering through the woods, talking with Alice, they encounter Destro as well, because he was pretty much in waiting close by anyway, so he stalked them through the woods. And but having also killed Joey and her dad, and without her will to like remain human and argue against Alice, Alice is more easily able to take control and have fuller control over Kim. And so they pretty much just handle Destro no problem, no sweat. They fucking dominate him. Um, so yeah, they kill him pretty handedly. And then at that point, Kim is pretty well gone, and she doesn't have anything left holding her to positivity, and she just goes right back to school pretty quickly, um, without anybody knowing. That it's only been like a day or so, so nobody knows, or it's whatever day. I think that took place. I don't know a date. I think that was the weekend when the thing with Tansu them when she went over to Tansu's house. So this would be the weekend. This would be like Sunday maybe. So as soon as she's able, she goes back to school. People don't know where Joey is. They obviously don't interact with her dad at all because he just kind of like he's not part of like the community. So but people are wondering where Joey is. They think he's out, he's doing something, whatever. But she's obviously playing stupid. But she goes to school with the goal to kill Stacy because obviously but while there, Magcrow he interferes and he tries to kind of like bring her back and figure out what the hell happened, how it went wrong, because he wasn't at that point he wasn't watching over her when that all happened, and which that part I don't really have a good reason for. I would come up for a reason if I needed to, but like Magcrow isn't 100% watching over Kim the whole time, even though he is more on duty watching her as soon as she gets Alice. Right up until that point, he wasn't, and yeah, so he wasn't there for that. But once he realizes what has happened, he tries to interfere with her at school, and she ends up fighting him at the school, and she fights him off during the scuffle. See, this is after she had attacked Stacy. Then Magcrow steps in the same way that like Kel interrupted it before. Magcrow steps in earlier, but Stacy does succumb to her injuries in the hallway. So she gets that power boost pretty quickly, and she's able to drive Magcrow away at that point. And Magcrow kind of scurries off to go tell Chrism, "Oh shit, everything went tits up. This is not good." But at that point, she's still pretty weakened from Magcrow and from transforming to so many times and absorbing so much essence that she's just like heavy and exhausted, and her humanity is slipping away. But so she ends up killing Stacy, driving Macro away, and then she just ditches school. She starts running without anywhere to go. She just starts fleeing. And at that point, as soon as Macro gets to Chrism, within a few hours, Chrism yeah, approaches Kim and tries like a last ditch effort to bring her back to the side they want her on, because at that point, like I said, Kim's humanity is gone, is slipping away. Alice doesn't really have her humanity to influence her better side, so she's leaning heavy into that evil. So Alice is just like, fuck you, we gonna fight, I'm gonna kill you. But yeah, so Kim no longer has a compassion, and Alice no longer is able to listen. So Kim is just not recognizable as who they wanted her to be and who they thought her to be, and she attacks Chrism. Chrism does defeat Kim, but she doesn't kill her, still hoping that she can fix this situation or let her get powerful enough and just kind of like turn her loose on Sin in the same way that Sin turned her loose on everybody else when she was maddened. So she's hoping that, well, if we lost her humanity, then maybe her raw power would be enough. Maybe at the very least, she could just go ape shit on Sin and give me an opening that I need. But the whole point is like, Kim's strive for humanity, her strive to protect Tansu would cause her to break certain limits and cause her to be able to access nothing's power within. Because without that love and attachment, that nothing kind of is representative of, because there's a whole thing with that hasn't yet fully been explained. But without that, that's going to be explained in this book that I'm writing right now. Without the ability to access nothing in the same way, Kim can't get that extra boost that would essentially let her ascend and let her do all these things and let her just keep fucking pushing through or whatever. So, but yeah. She defeats Kim, doesn't leave her, and now Kim's whole entire new goal would then to be to hunt down Chrism, and Chrism's goal would then to be letting Kim try to hunt her down and redirect her to Sin, hoping that would work. Yeah, so that's just a really quick I'm thinking about it for like an hour while at work, idea of what a bad ending would, like an alternate bad ending would look like for Kim and Alice. So would end up with Alex, Joey, and Stacy dead, Destro still dead. Lyomic would probably still be killed because Chrism would direct her there just to kind of feed her power at that point to see how strong she can get. And then any other Tuffle she might start to hunt down. And in this storyline, Kim wouldn't even make it to Sin. Kim's soul would be snuffed out and die and go straight to the ditch and do as was intended for Tuffle. And it would just be Alice after Destro and Lyomic. Kim would pretty much be gone at that point, and Alice would be whole, and she would just be in unchained killing machine that Chrism would then have to try to figure out how to use better. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and time to get back to writing. This is just me procrastinating. That was a good 10 minutes. Yeah, all right.